sights on boosting the country's economy.
洗一洗，洗一洗。
Stimulus measures. Breakthroughs were made in Chinese aerospace and military technology. They include the Chang'e 6 lunar probe, bringing back to Earth soil samples from the far side of the moon, the Shenzhou 18 and 19 space missions, and the public debut of the stealth fighter J-35A at the Zhuhai Air Show. Marked the 75th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. President Xi Jinping noted China's economy has continued to develop rapidly, but also faced challenges in recent years. The youth unemployment rate continued to rise, reaching its highest in August since late 2023. The central government continued to set an annual economic growth target of around 5%. Delivering his work report at the two sessions, Premier Li Qiang admitted China still faces difficulties in various aspects, but he's confident the economic goals can be achieved. The third plenary session of the 20th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China was held in July. It decided to further deepen reform in an all-round manner and promote Chinese-style modernization with special remarks on dedication to develop new quality productive forces, boost domestic demand, and improve people's livelihoods. On the country's housing market, first-hand property prices in first-tier cities had fallen for 11 consecutive months since the end of 2023. The decline widened from less than 5% to nearly 50% in September. That prompted authorities to introduce a number of stimulus measures. At the end of September, Beijing announced the lowering of the minimum down payment ratio for housing loans to 15%. It also cut the interest rate on outstanding mortgages in a bid to alleviate housing cost burdens for property owners. Authorities expected the move to benefit 50 million households. The central government's measures also boosted the mainland stock markets for days. Long queues could be seen outside banks and brokerage firms, with people scrambling to open new accounts. Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen saw a significant increase in real estate transactions. In December, President Xi Jinping took views from people outside the party on economic work. Also admitting the uncertainties China faces, Xi said it is important to resolve the issues proactively. In 2024, the government continued to crack down on corruption. In June, Beijing officially announced Defense Minister Li Shangfu and former Defense Minister Wei Fenghe had been in serious breaches of discipline and the law. They were said to have accepted huge sums of money and have been put under investigation. There were also high-profile corruption scandals in Chinese football. At least 15 senior executives managing the country's football teams were arrested by anti-graft authorities. Among them, former Premier League star and men's national coach Li Jie. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison. In the financial sector, a number of senior executives were slapped with heavy sentences for embezzlement and bribery. Continuing the country's diplomacy efforts, President Xi Jinping undertook state visits to France, Serbia, and Hungary. He also visited Kazakhstan, Russia, Peru, and Brazil, and attended a number of important conferences. The Forum on China-Africa Cooperation was held in Beijing. President Xi described China-Africa relations as being at their best in history, pledging that China would provide 360 billion yuan in financial support to the group over the next 3 years. 2024 also marked the 45th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic ties between the People's Republic of China and the United States. In April, she met with visiting U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. She said China-U.S. relations had gone through ups and downs over the past 45 years and taught us how the two countries should be partners, not rivals, and that they should seek common ground while respecting differences.
We are committed to maintaining and strengthening the lines of communication
仲
between
有
us
9個
so that
2024
we
就
avoid
快
any
4條先到。
miscommunications, any misperceptions, any miscalculations.
But Trump's imminent return to the White House has added uncertainties to China-U.S. relations. Trump has threatened to slap 100% tariffs on BRICS countries, including China, if they try to weaken the U.S. dollar. In response, Xi said there will be no winners in tariff and trade wars. Also facing challenges are China-Japan relations. In June, a Japanese mother and son were attacked with knives while waiting for a school bus in Suzhou, Jiangsu province. A Chinese school bus attendant was killed. Less than 3 months later, a 10-year-old Japanese boy in Shenzhen was killed on his way to school. This Shenzhen citizen said, any harm to a child must be strongly condemned. 2 days after the incident, China and Japan reached a consensus on the issue of discharging nuclear-contaminated wastewater from the Fukushima Daiichi power plant into the sea. China will gradually resume importing Japanese aquatic products that meet standards. In the South China Sea, Chinese and Philippine ships were involved in confrontations several times near Huangyan Island, also known as Scarborough Shoal.
3、2、1。
China made progress in its manned space program, lunar exploration, and space station construction. The Chang'e 6 lunar exploration mission completed the first human collection of lunar soil samples on the far side of the moon. The China National Space Administration has set the goal of achieving a manned landing on the moon by 2030 and becoming a space science power by 2050. The PLA Air Force's new generation of stealth fighter aircraft, J-35A, was unveiled at the Zhuhai Air Show. China became the second country after the United States to have 2 types of stealth fighter jets. The first domestically built large cruise ship, the Ida Modu, made its maiden commercial voyage on New Year's Day. Extreme rainstorms battered southern China, with the rainfall in April alone hitting the second highest level since 1961. That triggered a dam burst at Lake Dongting in Yuyang City of Hunan Province. And a highway collapse in Meizhou, Guangdong. More than 20 vehicles fell down the hillside, some exploded. The tragedy killed 48 people. Less than 3 months later, a highway bridge in Jiangxi province that had been in operation for about 6 years collapsed. Only one of more than 60 people who fell off the bridge survived. The rest were killed or remain missing. At the end of April, a rare tornado appeared in Baoyun district in Guangzhou. It swept through 4 villages, killing 5 people. A tornado in Shandong province also hit more than 2,800 houses in July. It killed 5 people. Starting around July, typhoons struck both the mainland and Taiwan. Shanghai was pounded by the strongest typhoon in 75 years in September. Other typhoons led to floods and landslides. More cases of indiscriminate wounding in China as well. On the eve of the opening of the Zhuhai Air Show, a 62-year-old man drove his SUV into crowds at the Zhuhai Stadium Sports Center. 39 people were killed. On cross-straits relations, 2024 began with the Kuomintang, the Democratic Progressive Party, and the People's Party vying for the leadership position in Taiwan. In his inaugural speech on May 20th, Li Cheng-te put forward the proposition that the Republic of China and the People's Republic of China are not subordinate to each other, which was seen by the outside world as the new two-state theory. 3 days later, the Eastern Theater Command of the PLA announced the launch of a 2-day Joint Sword A military exercise around Taiwan. It also released a simulation video showing bombs hitting Taipei, Hualien, and Kaohsiung, among other places. In October, PLA and China Coast Guard ships simulated a blockade of Taiwan in another exercise codenamed Joint Sword 2024B. The mainland also introduced the 22 anti-Taiwan independence articles, which make specific provisions on the conviction and sentencing standards and procedural norms for Taiwan independence, diehards, separatism, and incitement to separatism. The new guidelines also set out the maximum sentence of capital punishment. At the end of the year, Lai Ching-te visited 3 countries in the South Pacific and transited through Hawaii and the U.S. territory of Guam. Beijing expressed strong dissatisfaction and stated it would take measures to defend national sovereignty and territorial integrity.